Well, good afternoon. I'm here with Julie and excited to have a conversation with you today. Julie, could we start with the question, how do you like to be introduced and what are your credentials?
Yeah, my name's Julie Bazuin, buzz like a bee, ein. Bazuin. I have worked with Alliance for just over 2 years. I am an MSW social worker, graduated from Western Michigan University. I've worked in a variety of settings for over 20 years in the field of social work. Yeah, all the way from infant mental health, which is not really doing therapy with a baby, by the way. It's doing it with the parent and watching those interactions. I did a lot of in-home work for that group, mothers that were parenting or pregnant, and substance abuse in the family.
Okay.
And then I moved on to like some adolescent outpatient and hospital work and outpatient therapy. I've also volunteered at a nonprofit for doing therapy for people that could not afford or did not have insurance, that they were underinsured or they could not afford therapy.
Well, so you certainly have a heart for people and people getting the care that they need.
I do. I think that inner work is really valuable and meaningful. I think we should all have access to that. I feel like it should be taught in schools, you know?
I do think that's what I feel like. And maybe it will come out in this conversation, but certainly when I interact with you, there is an underlying passion that you care a lot about the people that you're sitting across from and wanting something better for them.
That's true. I mean, it is important as a therapist to make sure you're doing your own self-care, and not let client situations overwhelm you. And I'm very intentional about that. I work part-time, only telehealth. I have kids myself, and, I'm a human too. We ride bumps in this house as well. And I've learned how to take care of me, and I've not always done that. I grew up myself as a child of neglect, abuse, and done my own inner work. And so I love passing that on and watching how others can grow and learn when they have the right skills, they have the modalities to start reparenting themselves, which we can talk about later. But yeah, and I do care. I care about my clients outside of sessions. I sometimes send them things. I text them things. I don't know, maybe that becomes annoying, but I may text a podcast or a little note. I hope it's helpful. Like they are a person and they have worth and value.
And I think therapists, the Therapeutic Alliance, valuing the person sitting across from, a lot of therapists would say that they hold that. But I think it feels unique that's this regard you have for clients, that you continue to reach out and support them, wanting them to make that move. Where do you think that came from?
I lived it myself. I think, I personally have been through several therapists. I see myself as a lifelong learner. I just love learning about what else could we try? What else could we try? This one didn't work. Let's try that. I love learning tools, and I pass those on to clients. And it doesn't work for every person. Some people will say, yeah, I didn't like this one, and that's okay. I'm really not offended. I think you can also plateau with your therapist, and I think that's okay too. I just want people my job is not to keep you as a therapist, right? I want you to graduate. I want you to grow and pass on. I mean, it's like a ripple effect, right? You do your inner work and your kids benefit and your family benefits. And then they are in a better place and they benefit the people they're around. Why not? Why not do this work?
Love it. So what, talk about being a lifelong learner and not necessarily being locked into modality, but if someone sits across from you, where do you like to start? What are some of the tools or theories that you really think inform your sessions?
I love teaching self-compassion. It's usually my first go-to. I think we're in a world right now where there's so little empathy. It's not modeled to us. And if no one else gives it to us, we've got to give it to ourselves. As far as like the parenting aspect, you will become a better parent when you give yourself that self-compassion. And self-compassion is really about noticing the pain or the difficulty and matching it with kindness, a gentle response, understanding. When we often are hard on ourselves, we can repeat those messages to others, right? The people that are hardest on others are often the hardest on themselves. But it's a game changer when you can recognize, oh my goodness, I'm just a human. I have anger, of course. Like there's nothing bad about anger. It's just a feeling, and it's here to teach me some things. Yeah.
Well, can I ask, because you're stirring a little something up in me as
Okay.
you say that, but how do you position a client? Because that self compassion can sound like it can sound trite, or it can sound like, oh, that'd be nice if I could get to it, where it's
Mm-hmm.
a lot more
Pollyanna.
fundamental. Yeah, right. It sounds a little bit more fundamental to your
Yes.
work. And so, how do you
Right.
position? Let's call them a client, or Dave.
Yeah.
How do you position them to be able to hear that?
Right. Well, if that's too difficult, we soften it. We say, I'm still learning. I'm still learning how to look in the mirror every day and say, you've got this. I may not feel it all the time. Like I have internal responses that are like going crazy in there. And yet I can feel this, and yet I'm going to be okay. And this is another modality. This is DBT, or dialectical behavior therapy, where two things can be true at once, where you can have uncertainty or you can have fear, and you go and do the thing anyway. And you can do the thing anyway because you get to know the fear, you get to know the uncertainty and how you feel about that. This is also reaching into my other favorite modality, which is IFS, which is internal family systems or parts work. So I use all three of these,
Sure.
and they're all great together.
Yeah, I could hear that this self awareness needed, that before you can engage in some of that self compassion, kind of have to know what's going on
Yes.
inside, and what's getting triggered and activated. And when you bringing that applying some of that approach, who's a client that you would be ideal, or that you typically sort of bring these skills to?
Well, I love working with a variety of clients. I'll just quick say there's no one I don't like, but I like working with the general anxiety, life transitions, depression. But if I really get into some spaces where I feel passionate, it's usually with a parent who's noticing their own internal responses from their child or external, and they're not so happy with, like, where did that come from? Like, it's shocking, like their autonomic nervous system is just doing this. They're just saying the thing that their parent said or that grandparent said to that parent. And so it's breaking generational cycles is more one of my passions. And you don't have to be a parent either to reparent yourself. So I also enjoy working with people that are looking to correct those messages. It's often like college students where when you get to be 18, 19, 20, you leave your home, and then you start to realize, oh my, like, look at that family. I didn't know that happens. You may realize you were missing something or were not given some things, and possibly that's a form of neglect. So I like exploring that I like exploring parenting, because often a parent can be really focused on their child and what behaviors they're having, and I like to draw them back into themselves. So this is a quote I say often with Dan Siegel, but the best predictor of a child's well-being is the parent's self-understanding. So the more you can draw into, like, boy, what's going on with me that I just screamed at my kid? let's be curious, right? Can I get to know this part instead of like shoving it away, repressing it, and instead of letting us obsess ourselves over what happened? You're just a human, right? That's where the compassion comes in. This happens, right? This happens. And what can we do about it? Like let's get to know what happened. Let's connect. Where did I first learn this? And it's not your fault.
Growing up in college, I was told that when you get married, that is an institution that being married will shape who you are and will test you. But I think that you're onto something there. That as you're saying that, just remembering the external behavior was that I was being hard on my kid, but discovering that it was more of a fear that I was dealing with fear and trying to exercise that on my kid rather than do that work myself.
That's right. Because when you model it and you model self-compassion, I was doing this the other day. I don't remember what mistake I made, but I was walking around the house and my daughter was in the kitchen and I was just like, it's okay, Julie. Everybody makes mistakes. And I did that intentionally because I want her to talk to herself like that when she grows up, right? This is super cool. I saw this, if I can share this a minute. I saw this reel on social media the other day, and I just thought, this is cool, like reparenting right here. It's a mom who has her boy kind of behind her in the scene, and he's probably 6 or 7 because his front teeth are missing. Like, he's adorable. And she starts out saying these parenting statements that she's heard, like, I brought you into this world. And then he comes and finishes it. And he goes, and made you happy. And then she goes,
yeah.
Yes. And she goes, just wait until, and he puts his head on her shoulder. I kiss you tonight. Like, that woman has done some work, right? Like, I think that's the modeling, and then how you transform and do what you need to do to be a healthy person, modeling that you're a human, modeling that you can always do better too. Your kids, that's going to create the norm of what they grow up in, so that when they are in the adulting world, if they're not treated well, that's going to feel odd to them. Good, because that's not good to be around a hurtful environment, right? So let's create a norm where we feel safe and have compassion and curiosity for each other, using all the C words for parts work. There's 8 of them.
Oh, I'm just getting the sense of what it's like to sit across from you. And, a lot of us have that, our Alliance Council Group little signature of to be hope for change for good. And I feel that as you're saying these things, Julie, that focusing on these things has this cascade of so many positive things and right, the power to change generations.
Absolutely. Like, think if what it just takes one person doing their inner work, right? Like, an IFS is the parts work, identifying its different parts of us. We have this self, which is our wisest self, that is really grounded and sturdy and calm and compassionate, curious. And that is so similar self as the DBT model, which is using your wise mind. And in DBT, they talk about the more emotional self and the more logical self. And how do we combine these together to create a more sturdy self? And what's the middle path? What's the wisest decision? And so both of these can help you really repair your relationship with your own self, if that makes sense. Like,
yes,
yeah, all these inner parts that were fragmented in childhood trauma, you get to know them. They begin to trust you again. And then you're in connection with yourself and you trust your own goodness. And that creates healing.
Do you think does telehealth like a virtual session, that's how people can find you and work with you, do you feel like that medium works to have these conversations?
Yeah. I love doing telehealth. I love the flexibility, not only for my clients, but for me, like the ability to like save time. I am like healthy during cold and flu season, right? There's all these little perks. My clients, they can find a cozy space in their house or in an office at work. They could put their furry little animal on their lap, which is therapy too. And I think telehealth can open up like more possible like good therapist options for people instead of having to stay in the same location or drive. I mean, traffic is stressful.
And
There's a
you've
lot of
definitely had
advantages.
and you've had some clients that are outside of sort of West Michigan. People have reached out to you from
Yes,
the other
right.
side of the state, or
Yep. Right now, I can only see within Michigan with the parameters for my social work license, but maybe in the future that will change for some of us, we hope.
and I'm so grateful that you took the time to talk with me and just painted this picture of what people could be like when they do this kind of work with you. So I guess thank you for the time, but thank you also for doing this work and showing up to make sure that can be their best selves with self-compassion.
Thank you, David. Yeah, I really enjoy being a part of Alliance and I enjoy doing this meaningful work. So, thank you.
There it is.